What's up, everyone? This is Jay and Scott here with Revolution Radio. Just gonna do a quick little, I don't know, quick check-in with the news today. Scott, how's your life going?
Well, as you've recently informed me, my 10 o'clock meal is not good for me, and but it is damn good. So I should be a lot fatter than I am, but since I'm not, we'll just blame it on the Adderall.
I'm just saying a full-blown meal at 10:30 at night is, I, you know,
Well,
I'm
but
not, I'm
remember,
not
I
even
won't go to
talking.
I won't go to sleep until 4 a.m. So
This is the fun of ADHD.
that's true. And I'm staring for the police that could come to my house at any time. Got to look out the window.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, your Adderall is prescribed. You're not snorting it or smoking it or you're supposed to be
I didn't
taking
know
it.
you could smoke it, but I'm sure anything's possible.
I don't know. I mean, I have no idea. I've never been a stimulus guy. Just doesn't do anything. I mean, it probably would, but I'm the type of person that I like a downer.
Well, just to let you know, probably at least 20 years of my life, I've been on some form of that medication, and I'm one of the very first ADHD babies when the term was coined in the early 80s, and I had a real neurologist, a brain scientist, do all kinds of crazy testing on me, and so. Yeah, it's before anyone knew what the term was, I was already on the junk, and I can take a 60 milligram of Adderall. They come in 30s, so I guess I probably shouldn't take a 60, but
Probably not.
I
That's
can go to bed
I,
and
I,
eat. So,
I also love how you like a neurologist, a brain scientist. Like people won't know what a neurologist is.
well, no, the difference is most people these days, they don't, it's such a abused field where they just go to a psychologist and they say, oh, you got ADHD. Here's some extremely strong stimulants for the rest of your life.
Which is great, I guess. I mean that's how we know that we're winning in America is if we have a problem, we just take a pill for it and it goes away or we commit suicide. Either way, problem is solved. I think that's the important thing. Anyway, let's just get on with it. So we were kind of talking about this yesterday, and I think that's part of the reason why I wanted to do kind of a quick update or you know to revisit this. We were talking about Sidney Powell. We were talking about the dangers of them saying that the election was fraudulent, right? Well, little did we know, at the same time we were doing that show, Sidney Powell and Linwood and a lot of those people were having a meeting, having a, they were doing an entire, sorry, I didn't say meeting, it got
Conference.
distracted for a second. Fun of doing this kind of thing at home instead of a studio. No, they were having a rally, and during the rally, they were encouraging people not to vote because, as they said it, if the Republicans don't back Trump, why should Trump supporters back the Republicans? At the same time, we also got that crazy video. I don't know if you've seen it. Um, a blonde-haired woman. Um, she's in court testifying in Michigan. I wish I could go through every single thing that she talked about, but I would say this: either she got into your medication or she'd been hitting some hooch. Very belligerent. It's very interesting. The video itself already has like 16 million views. And
Yeah, I did watch that,
did
and
you?
she definitely was a little more eccentric. But that being said, some of the other people who came up and testified in front, and then of course you also had the ridiculous behavior of a couple of those people up on the board when they were giving that information. It was some of it was, if it's kind of like it's all unproven, but a lot of it's pretty disturbing to think that, and it's been released that basically the company that did our that ran the voting machines and the software included on them is pretty much owned by China in the first place.
I mean, yeah, and yes and no. I mean, in the fact that like were they manufactured in China, sure, but I mean, and that's not even you're taking it to the wrong place. Don't you know it's Venezuela that is doing this?
Yeah, they said
It's
Maduro invested a large amount of money in it
this
as
is
well.
this is all. It's like shut up. Like I'm so sick of voters. And when your guy loses, you have to blame another country, a country that you dislike. I mean, for some reason, the Democrats don't like Russia. I have no idea why. But oh my God, all we heard for 3 years was Russia this, Russia that, Russia. Russia can't start a proper military. Russia can't build infrastructure or an economy. Russia is failing. But yet Russia has the power to completely dismantle America. Shut up. And then this whole thing, Venezuela is the if we could get a logo for what Venezuela is, it would be a man holding his ankles with his pants down. That's how much they're screwed. And you're meaning to tell me that they have the global power to invest in this big, multifaceted process with China and Russia and everyone else, all to undermine our elections. I'm sorry. It's
Well,
just
they also
ridiculous.
they said that this was the exact same software and machines that was used in Maduro's re-election campaign, where he dominated, and they were told by election officials, "Don't worry about these machines. Don't worry about the election. We got it covered."
Yeah, if you looked, a third party came in and monitored and recap and actually audited. And guess what? Maduro won. No one wanted to
Oh,
believe it.
well, I'm sure they audited the voting process to make sure that people weren't being intimidated at the polls, and it looked like they're collating. But this is one of those things where they also had somebody who had been involved in the Department of Defense white hat operations, and said that the software was absolutely compromised. And it's very possible it was. Just like yesterday. Remember, I said we're fighting an information
I,
warfare, and
I don't. Here's my thing. I don't buy it. For one, if you have ever been to Venezuela or you know people who've been to Venezuela,
but
they love
Maduro is not a reflection of the Venezuelan people.
he no, he's incredibly popular and they like him. Like that's the whole cold hard fact. And unless you've been to Venezuela or you know people who've been to Venezuela, you can't say anything different. And I hear that all the time. Maduro's John Oliver, who I defend all the time. He did a hit piece on Maduro, but it's like I personally know journalists who go down there and talk to people. They like Maduro. It's the way it is. Like, you know what? And here's my thing. It would be the same as if Canada came in here and was like, "You guys didn't like Trump," because yeah, most of America, or not a majority, but a lot of America was complaining about Trump. So what? Is it cool for Canada to come over here and say, "Nope, Trump's not your president anymore. You guys are all complaining about him"? No, we'd say, "Shut the fuck up, get out of our country." But yeah, we have to impose ourselves on other countries, and the reality is, we actually have seen people tied with the NSA, with CIA, who are still trying to overthrow uh, Maduro in Venezuela to cause more problems so we can go in and take more oil. Juan Guaido, in fact, was proven to be from the school of America. Connections with Trump, connections with, at the time, Jared Kushner. And oh, just lo and behold, we decide he's the guy that should run Venezuela. What? Yeah, come on. Like this is
That just sounds like to me all the more reason Venezuela and China and things like that would want to retaliate in that fashion.
and they should, but here's the point. If they can't protect their own asses, how are they gonna block ours? And furthermore though, like what these people are all talking about, I should shut up. No, go ahead. Don't trust the system. Don't don't vote. I don't want their side to win. I want them to stop. But I almost feel like there has to be some form of clarity to just be like, you understand you're choosing Trump over democracy. You're choosing Trump over the conservative party. And to be honest, my take on it should be go ahead, torpedo the conservative party. I don't vote in Georgia. Please don't. Do you know how much I would love there to not be obstruction in the Senate? That would be great.
Yeah, it'd be really stupid of them for, especially like you said, don't vote. I mean,
But
that's
let me
really
let me ask you a question. You're kind of on the lines of like, well, there definitely could be issues going on. Why would you vote? If you truly believe there is fraud, why would you?
well. I mean, it's just kind of like one of those things. Is I don't know. There's no other recourse for anyone. I mean, if there is corruption on that scale, and you know, the U.S. government's not doing enough to thwart or do their own efforts to vote, and they're hiring out, machines and software that are completely vulnerable and compromised. Well, then I probably need to just be protesting my own government on their own stupidity.
I mean, and not voting. I guess that's my whole thing. Is like, um, I personally don't think I had a person today tell me they're done voting, completely done. It's fixed, it's rigged, the whole thing's a fraud. And he said the only way I vote is paper ballots because those cannot be compromised. And I just asked him, like, what do you think about the hanging chads in 2000? Well, that's different. Bush won. You see what I'm saying? Like, no,
Well,
if Trump would have won, the elections would have been fair and clear and no problem. No fraud, no issues. But, Trump lost, and oh my God, it's fraud. And again, it's the same thing I said to so many Democrats in the last 4 years. Trump won. He won in 2006. Hillary lost. That's what happened. It's a bitter pill to swallow. You're going to have to take a little bit of sugar with that medicine. Realize that your person wasn't popular as you thought they were. They didn't do what they should have done to win, and they lost. It's just I don't get it. But again, I should stop talking like that, and I should say yes. There's fraud everywhere. We've seen it. Um, uh, there's no reason to vote. Cause yeah,
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 but even if there was fraud, it'd be hard to prove that it was on a massive enough scale to swing a lot of the election. But I would like, at the same time, if some of these things hold true, like for instance, they said the IRS was actually investigating a $400 million payment to this company, which was not for any goods and services to their home base. This is the company that runs the software for the voting machines. They're located in Barbados. And so, which an offshore company, that makes sense, but that's also almost impossible to track. And that $400 million
completely.
wasn't associated with anything that they know of as far as the buying and installing any of these voting machines in the software. So
Yeah, I mean,
there's a lot of problems with it.
I would love to read into that. I haven't heard about it, but no, and yeah, I mean, thanks to offshore accounts, we have no idea. Uh, I guess my message would be to the conservative party is just this. It's um, well, look, if I'm being honest, if I was being a friend, being an ally, I would say no, keep voting. Biden is going to pull a Obama. He's going to do a lot of stuff that most of the population is not going to be in favor of. And in 2024, you're going to get the ability to get Trump back. I am sure he's running again if he's still alive. Look, to be fair, he's in like his mid 70s, 74? Like, he may not be alive in 4 years. But if he is,
And Biden may not survive his 4 years.
probably not. But Kamala will do the same thing. The same, they will be underwhelming, is what I'm saying. Um, and you're going to get that opportunity. But if you didn't vote in 2 years, And if you don't vote in 2024, maybe you'll be voting Trump in, and it'll be a complete lame duck Senate and House that he'll be working in because it'll all be Democrats because you didn't vote the last 4 years.
Yeah.
And, look, that's what you want. I'm happy with it. I'm cool with it, but do you want to make me happy? I don't think so. But let me talk about something that maybe you shouldn't vote for, and why, and it has to do with more of the Georgia runoff, and talk about David Perdue. Do you know much about David Perdue?
I know he's got an inside man.
I think he is the inside man. So David Perdue is one of the Georgia senators who's running in January, and he needs Republican support. Um, but about 4 or 5 stories broke out about David Perdue. One of them being as far back as in July, when we found out that there was some inside trading going on, and it was going on with Lori Loeffler, David Perdue, um, Burris, and I believe there was at least one or two other people. Um, and
Yeah,
I
there were a
think,
couple Democrats and Republicans involved in it.
yeah, yeah,
Surprise, surprise.
I think I only named Republicans, and that wasn't on purpose. I just can't remember who the Democrats were. I barely remember Burris's name. Honestly, I only know his name because the CIA or the FBI has his phone. But Purdue, on the other hand, interesting situation here. Um, a piece by The Intercept came out yesterday detailing his relationship with a company called Cartlog. Cartlog, what they do, and you're gonna love this. It's a fantastic company that searches through your internet history and your banking history. They legally do this, and then they sell that information to companies to tell you like how to market to you. They're a great company. Anyway, David Perdue, he got in on this company at the ground floor. In fact, this company itself, when he had stocks invested in them and he had money invested, they weren't public yet. And so his whole, like, it was 14 billion or 14 million, sorry, that would have completely tanked if they decided not to go public. Um, it would have ruined David Perdue, but this company being really sweet like they are, they decided to wait and to allow Purdue to invest in the company is right as they went public. So there's a good relationship with Cartlog and David. And so there was an email interaction that happened in mid-February between David Perdue and this company. And in the email, it says David, it was from their CEO, and he was talking about a the CEFO, who, if anyone knows, the CEFO is actually higher than the CEO. But the CEO was talking to David Perdue, and he says, "I don't know if you've had a chance to talk to David yet in the changes that are going to happen. I just want you to know that we haven't talked to David." Now, if you might, David, David, his name's Allen, is also the CEFO of Cartlog. So there's two Davids here. Um, that email was replied by David Perdue saying, "I don't know anything you're talking about. I don't know what the changes you're talking about, and I haven't talked to him." Interesting. Real interesting. Almost like he's covering himself. Well, the next day, that CEO sent David Perdue another email saying, "Oh, I meant to send this to the other David. My bad." Interesting side note, in that original email, he said, "Have you talked to David, the CEFO?" So obviously that's not the case. He slipped up. Um, it wasn't long after that David Perdue had sold it's over $1 million of stocks from that company. And the interesting thing about that as well is when asked about it, they asked David David Perdue's his team, him, his everyone who's involved in his finances. They asked, "Who does your trading?" And he said, "It's a third party company. I have nothing to do with it." But oddly enough, there is record kept of him calling and actually unloading that $1 million in stocks from Cartlog right before they took a gigantic crash as soon as the pandemic hit. And look, this isn't David Perdue's first time doing this. In fact, he had he averages about 20 different trades a day as a senator. I
Yeah,
mean, the guy,
he had over 3,000 trades a month.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean it wasn't per day. He had way more trades, but he averaged 20 per day. But sometimes he would trade around 3,000 trades a month.
yeah. I mean, the dude isn't
Very very
just
prolific trader. He's moving a lot of shit.
he's a day trader, not a senator.
Yeah.
He also he invested a ton of money into a nuclear warhead company, and then
Nuka Cola? Oh no.
nuclear. Then the next week, he convinced our government to invest more money in in that uh, in that field. Like it's worse than having an insider because he is the insider. It's basically like, well, what am I gonna do next? And
Yeah, you got to wonder what who he serviced in his life, and I say that as nicely as possible. Who he serviced to have such wonderful friends to keep him out of financial troubles on such a level that it's almost like you have somebody guarding your money with those nuclear warheads at all times.
well, here's the interesting thing: is what he's doing isn't illegal, and that's a problem. Now, it would be now with this company Cartlog that would be illegal because he's finding out information before anyone else and then using that. But like, look, just like with Burris, just like with Loeffler, what's gonna happen? They're gonna slap him on the wrist and say, "Don't do that again." Hint, hint, wink, wink. Cover your ass next time. That's what's gonna happen. And the thing that really surprised me the most is that in Georgia, this isn't an issue. They don't really care.
Yeah, well, most people in Georgia don't understand what the stock market is. That's where the cows are auctioned off.
I you know, potentially. I mean, look, I
No, I'm just kidding as well. People in
no,
Georgia are not retards.
no,
I'm
but
just.
look, you're not completely off base here because there's a lot of people. I'm like, how are they still in power? How is this not a thing? We had a Koba here in Kansas where like he was literally, you want to talk about election fraud? That dude was literally destroying ballots. And he was telling people he was if he would he would take you off of a sign up sheet, so to speak, and he would say, "Oh, you're not authorized to vote," and not tell you that he did that. That was happening. And what did we do? We voted for him again. Like, I think sometimes with the policy, and I don't know, I really don't know why people vote the way they do or why they show this loyalty. Because yeah, David Perdue is a scumbag who made millions. It was like 30 million he made by pulling out when he did and investing in this other company that Lori Loeffler, Burris, all the rest of them all invested in, who is like a subsidiary of Zoom. Like we all saw this, they saw this happening, and the rest of us went broke that day. Not all, but you know what I'm saying. Like, as the country has, we talked about it yesterday. Certain corporations, certain companies, certain people make the most money when the rest of us are savagely, beaten by the economy, and they do it by ripping us off, by knowing information that they're supposed to be trusted with, and it's supposed to be to protect us, and instead they go, "Hey, I can make a buck."
Oh yeah, well that information wasn't information as far as the security company, Secure Lock. that wasn't information he should have been given in the first place. But what that is the CEO saying, we're going to get out, we're going to take our millions and our bonuses, and we're out, and we're going to let you know that this company's failing so you can get out while all the other shareholders take a dump, which is probably most of the American public, and that, much smaller fish than a big politician.
Yeah, no, and no, exactly. And again, if you own stocks in Cardlog, if you own stocks in blah blah, you're doing better than 70% of the country, but still, the fact that these people are legally allowed to be active traders when they know
Well, and
information.
you also got to remember, most of our parents, if they worked at any blue collar or white collar job for a long time, they got 401ks, and a lot of those 401ks are managed, by
That's
this
true.
firm or
Yeah,
that
sure. Yeah,
firm.
you're
I
right.
mean, these are everyday people, and if that 401, who's ever managing their portfolio, this is people's retirement. So I mean, a lot of my parents' personal retirement. My parents were teachers, and my dad was a principal and a coach, and my mother was a kindergarten teacher and special ed teacher. I mean, my we weren't rich at all. In fact, we're quite the opposite. So my dad's as far as what he owned in stock after the coronavirus kind of hit and there was kind of a big crash in the stock market, they lost about 50% of their retirement that was in their 401k.
And meanwhile, people like David Purdue and Lori Loeffler, and they knew, oh, I'm going to pull that money and put it into something like Zoom because it's going to make sense to move. I mean, it, I don't know why we allow that to happen. It's just like, and what I mean by that is why we allow our senators or politicians in general to also be active traders. They have information that we don't know about. They know when uh, let's just say certain raids or busts are going to happen to certain companies, where certain companies are going to be investigated for fraud. They know when the government is going to decide to hand out a bunch of contracts to a certain industry. They have all of this information that the rest of us don't have, and they come out of it billionaires. And it's like,
Yeah.
oh, that's just part of the job. I spent all day being a day trader, not taking care of Georgia, not taking care of my constituents. No, that's just taking care of me. I should have, might as well just worked on Wall Street. And then we
And you got to think
vote
by the
them
few
in
and far
again.
between of the politicians that get busted for something. You see local politicians, and every once in a while you'll see, something like that go down. They must be the really dumb ones because as easy as it
Right.
is to get away with the big scores. I mean, they must have been really dumb to get caught doing it locally.
No, exactly, exactly. But yeah, so that's David Perdue. That's your Republican option in Georgia. Don't know much about the Democrat option, but that's the Republican one. Lastly, I did want to talk about the stimulus because it does seem like they're starting to want to take the stimulus more serious. It seems to be something that is in. They're starting to realize that the GDP growth is rapidly slowing. That we just got 800,000 new unemployment claims today. The prediction by Wall Street for the next quarter is abysmal. And this is all in a time where there's a ton of industries that they make a lot of their money in this 3 to 4 month period. It's November, December, January, February, and that little stretch is in especially quarter four, which is yeah, October, November, December. In that time frame is when a lot of companies make a ton of money, and we are seeing a massive dip right now. We are seeing not only the unemployment rise, we are seeing the amount of money that people are willing to spend on things fall. And most recently, there was a piece that was done by The Guardian, I believe, and it's just a poll. And I know after the election, I don't really trust polls anymore, but this one literally was just if you got a stimulus check, would you spend more on Christmas this year or not? And about 12 to 15% of people said they would. That alone, I think, in that mentality, because obviously not just that one poll, but that mentality moving forward had has gotten a lot of people in industry to prod along the politicians and say we got to do a stimulus package. Um, the one that we heard about most recent, which was kind of a bipartisan deal, is a 900
Yeah, $900 billion.
billion. Yeah. And I think that one is fair. I think there could be more. I think they all obviously they could definitely do more, but this one did provide aid to state and local governments, more money for the PPP, which I think is fantastic. It's done well, and more unemployment benefits, and it got shot down, essentially. It's bipartisan bill. No, Nancy Pelosi didn't want it. They want the HEROES Act. They're not budging off of the HEROES Act. At the same time, Mitch McConnell, he didn't like the bill either because he had another version of that bill which did not call for state and local funding. It called for a little bit of PPP, 1 month of unemployment benefits, and that's about it. Falling. Oh, and of course, protection. Um, you know, legal protection for companies so they couldn't be sued. Um, and that one followed at about $400 billion. And I say, it looks like we are at a place again where we definitely need the stimulus, and it's just not going to happen. There, you're one group is basically stuck in the mud at 400 billion now. They keep lowering it, and then you have another group who says we only want to do a 3.5 trillion dollar stimulus, and everyone knows. Look, would would it be more beneficial to do the 3.4 trillion? Yes, it would actually. Um, but we know why the Democrats want to do that, and that is because they can turn around in about a year and say we're having massive debt problems, and look, that bill passed under the Trump administration, and at the same time, they it'll do well for the next 3 to 4 years. It'll make Biden look like he's had a good run, and the debt can be blamed on Trump. That's obvious. They did, the Republicans actually did that to Obama in '08. And on the other hand, being an obstructionist is what has given Mitch McConnell the power that he has now. Like his whole goal now is just to tank the economy. It's to make Biden look bad. So we're in a really weird situation, and again, it's politics at play, and it's going to kill a lot of people. I don't know. I mean, what is your thought on the whole stimulus situation?
I think they need to just get that $900 billion out and stop arguing, because even if Mitch McConnell, if that's his goal and Nancy's goal is to just get everything she wants or nothing, I think they're playing the same game. And if we don't really even have the 50 days until Trump literally steps out of the White House to discuss it, that 50 days is going to hurt more than anything, because, well, we know why it's going to hurt more, because it's the worst it's ever been right now.
You're right, and I mean, the thing is, it's one of those things that for every dollar we spend now, it's going to cost us $5, in rebuilding. And that's why I say, look, just do the 3 trillion, whatever. But I agree. Nancy Pelosi not moving off of that is ridiculous. And same with Mitch. The problem being is these people get rewarded for these decisions. I don't know why. If I lived in California, I would have voted for Shahid Buttar. I would have not have voted for Nancy Pelosi. Yet Nancy Pelosi won overwhelmingly in Kentucky, where I mean, there's countless stories. You can check them out on Reddit. You can read in different magazines. There's countless stories of people who are living in Kentucky now who can't afford a tank of gas, but they ended up voting for Mitch McConnell. He's doing nothing to help them, won't do anything for, but he gets rewarded instead of there being a consequence for this obstructionism that they're doing. And yeah, I
Well,
really don't know why.
well, like you said, people don't know what they want, but they sure are voting along party lines. But I mean, I wish I had another option for them. Like, you could just press C if you think everyone's full of shit. Maybe, and I don't know what C would get you, but at least it would be a tabulation of the confidence of the American people and their politicians and government. And if it falls below 50%, well, then we just wipe the fucking board off and start over.
I wish. I wish, because, there it's sad that with something like this, like stimulus talks, we're literally talking about, um, we start to get into that discussion about deaths of despair, people who freeze to death, people who starve to death, people commit suicide, which probably be the biggest one. These numbers are going to start adding up, um, because people don't have anything. In fact, the housing, um,
Yeah, people are being evicted in mass right now.
and it's going to get worse after January 1st. The moratorium on evictions runs out. And these people also don't have any money. The coldest time of the year for most of North America. And, you know, you couple that with everything else. And the sad thing is, we all knew if they didn't get a bill passed before the election, they weren't going to get a bill passed because both sides were trying to figure out how is it going to work better for their team. The Democrats and Nancy Pelosi knew that a stimulus bill would make Trump look good, so they weren't going to pass it. And e- Republicans, in some ways, just being traditional Republicans, didn't want to pass a stimulus bill. That made it even worse. I mean, if Mitch McConnell would have came out and said, "No, we'll pass a $3 trillion bill," he would have been testing Pelosi, and it would have been interesting to see how she would have reacted. But at the same time, after Trump lost, well, there's no. I mean, look at the way Trump's even looking at it. He doesn't even talk about it. He doesn't care. He's done. He's worried about hanging on to his power and moving into 2024. He'd care less about the American people right now. And now the Democrats care. Oh, no, we got to help the American people. Where were you before? I mean, about what, a week before the election, there was a $1.8 trillion stimulus package that was ready to go, and Nancy fucking Pelosi blocked it. And that one would have been a really good bill. It had the
Yeah,
bill.
that was the one that should have passed.
Yeah, she didn't want to because it helped Trump. You know, stop playing politics with people's lives. And how these people keep getting. And again, on both sides, you have people like Josh Hawley, Marco Rubio, who are the sane ones who are like, no, we need to pass a stimulus bill now. You had people like Ro Khanna, AOC, and some of those people who, during the Trump administration, were like, we need to pass a stimulus. We don't really care about the election as much as we care about the people. That mentality, we need more of that. Finally, though, I do want to end on a happy note because I did tell you I wanted to do, I was going to give you a funny or silly story, something I'm curious about your reaction. So, in Singapore, there was a gentleman who, let's just say I have no record, but it has been said that he played a lot of video games, really, really into video games. He was, I guess, kind of binging on on his PS4 to get ready for the release of the PS5. It's incredibly hard to get a PS5 everywhere, not just here in America. But he secured a pre-order, right? He had waited. I guess he had told his wife he was going on like a hunting trip or something, and instead he was really just waiting to get a pre-order. He got the pre-order. Um, he bought it. He then told her, "Oh, it's an air purifier." And if you look at this air purifier, it actually kind of looks like an air purifier.
I was about to say.
And she did ask, well, $500 for it, but again, I don't know their financial situation. Maybe there are air purifiers that are $500 that look like a
There are,
PS5.
by the way, there are air purifiers not as small as the PS5, but there are air purifiers that sell for easily around $1,000.
which is insane to me, by the way. But yeah, so he had it set up kind of by the TV and whatever, and it took her like a few days to finally to really look at it and realize the PS5. He's been hiding from her and sneakily like waking up in the middle of the night to play while she's sleeping, and you know, she sold it for $200 while he was away at work one day. Well, let me ask you a question. Number one, what would you do? You're a grown man and you're controlled like that. Now, and look, we don't know. Maybe she was the breadwinner. Maybe he was just a part-time worker, didn't really pull his own weight. But even so, selling your possession from under you because you lied to them about something as silly as it not being a video game system.
No, as far as I know, neither of us have been divorced before, and I've only been married once, and I'm still married. And I have about as much gumption or want to put any effort into lying to my wife. I don't understand people who do that. Like, do you really have to like have a secret PayPal account that you, I don't know, subscribe to Pornhub with, or do you really, it seems to be a lot more effort that this guy put into buying and securing a PS5, and I'm not a domineering person, but if there's something I want that bad, you know, and and I don't have a plethora of other things to keep me entertained, it's just this is just your common everyday like on Facebook you'll find like selling jerk ex-husband stuff that I want in the settlement.
No,
It
exactly.
usually it usually includes a PlayStation.
It does seem, though, that she had an issue with him playing video games, not spending money, though. I think that's got a really interesting caveat to the story. That's also why I say that we don't know. She may have been the breadwinner for all we know. Like, and money may not even really been an issue with this. It might just be he plays too many video games. I don't know. Like, look, I gotta look at it two ways. Because one thing you said is like lying to your wife. Well, I think in a way we all lie to our wife. I mean,
I don't know what I lie about though. I'm pretty lame. I don't come up with anything special.
no, no. I mean, like not vicious, but like you know, we lot like for instance the attention. When they come home from work and they're talking about stuff, you're lying to her by acting like you care. You're like, oh yeah, I can't believe blah 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 did that. Yeah, oh that's horrible. You're tuned out. You're not even there. And by the way, like
See,
these,
I'm completely different. I think some of the people my wife works with are just aberrant idiots, and they're lazy. My wife's kind of a workaholic, and I have to scold her for working off the clock. I mean, literally, I've gotten a fight with her before to not work for free.
see,
and
and I
and
think,
and then she's
go ahead.
so nice that she has friends that leech off of her, and I have slowly shown her that these people are just leeches. They don't ever do anything for anyone else. They just ask favors of their friends till they exhaust it, and they're alcoholics and all this other shit. So I'm invested in it because I don't want her to have anything to do with these people.
I think if we were to compare, if someone was to rate us, I think they would just call me an asshole because I always assume that not that my wife's lazy, right? No, it's just like hear me out. Have you ever met anyone, like especially when you're talking about work or anything like that? Do you ever meet somebody who's like, "Oh yeah, no, I don't like doing crap at work. Yeah, I'm kind of I'm the shit stir. I cause problems." No, you always meet the person, and I mean meet as in like your friends, your friend who you talk to. They're always the hard worker. And you're like, no, wait, no, come on. I bet you know, over and over again. I bet you there's a lot of times you don't work as hard as you could. I bet you your coworkers also work really hard. I also bet you're kind of an asshole sometimes because you're kind of an asshole to me. You know what I mean? Like I just
To
assume
me,
I assume no 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 like. people that you talk to when they're telling you about work. You know what I'm saying?
Oh
Like,
well,
I,
yeah, but she has a state job, so there are going to be people who are basically sludge the system. Those people who are sitting on retirement with the next 6 months or year and a half, and they're just coasting and not doing a damn thing and making red tape for everyone else. And then you have quite a bit younger people like us, and I'm talking. They have some old people up there. But
right.
no, that's how she is, and that's kind of why I married her because she didn't need me at all. She didn't she didn't need me. I made her need me, and she was too independent, and and I'm a pretty independent person, but there's always the balance between um, personalities, and I'm definitely one of those people who like to get things done. But if it's something I don't like to do, well, sure, I'm definitely one of those people that are, well, damn it, I'll get it done when I can.
No, look, I hear you. I do. It's just, yeah, as far as my friends and stuff like that, I I don't know. I think it's funny how every one of your friends is always, and not just your friend, but people's friends. They're always the hardest worker at work. They're always the one who doesn't start shit. And it's you know them, and you're like, no, you're not. You're an asshole. And no, I mean, look, and I'm not saying that's my wife either, but I do know that there's some times where, yeah, she's probably just lazy. And I don't know, I tune out because I don't really care. But it's not just that either. Like, I have my own bank account, I have my own credit cards. I, and she knows I don't lie, I don't hide it. Like, she knows I have those things.
Well,
Um,
we have our own bank accounts and such, but I have access to hers, and to the savings that are hers, and she has access to mine. And not once in many years of marriage has either of us gone and like got money out the other's account or anything like that. I mean, it's like I said, it's too much trouble for a lot of people. They have deeper problems if a PlayStation is what will separate people.
oh, I
That's just
think
the
they,
after
I
effect.
don't think they got separated. I think she
Well, no, I'm
just
not saying they do, but definitely that would be cause for divorce in a lot of places.
a PlayStation 5 is cause for a
Oh, you'd be
divorce.
you'd be surprised. Come on, we're talking about guys and their addiction to games.
That's probably
That's
true.
like
I'm
that's like you're a rodeo star and your wife sells your favorite saddle.
I'm surprised. Yeah, I think it's funny because yeah, my wife does not have access to my bank account. She can't touch anything in my. I have access to our account, and she doesn't have her own account. She has no idea what's in my. It, but again, I'm not doing anything with it. I'm the most boring dude there is. Like I mirror this dude in Singapore. I mean, like I have a low level video game addiction, and I know way too much about politics, and that's.
Well, and that's why you're boring because you're boring in the same way I am, as in I don't go to the bars anymore. What am I going to go talk to 20 somethings about who's hot and like I don't know, just like none of that is appealing. I did all of that, so
You know what my pickup line
there's
would be now, by the way? It
uh,
would be so I'm learning the banjo, learning a lot of punk. Celtic rock on there. Like I got some Dropkick Murphy stuff. You want to check it out? That would be my. That would be. That would be how I would hit on a woman now. I'm so yeah. No, I have no interest in it either. Like if
I'm
you
even deeper than that. I'm like, so do you make pies?
will you feed me?
Yes, I'm serious, man. I mean, if there's one way to die, it'll be under that old oak tree, sitting fishing at a pond. Where your wife goes, "I brought you some apple pie," and you just go, "Ah, fuck it, I'm just going to keel over now. This is it.
I've had enough. This is it.
It can't get any better."
No, yeah, I'm in so many ways like with you. I think the only difference, like I'm not saying like I would leave my kid or leave my family or whatever, or wife, but now I have kids, and now I really don't want to because I do like them a lot, and I like my wife. Don't get me wrong.
No, I hear you. And I'm talking about like down the line, like when you're 75 and you're just like, you know, she's going to get retirement and she'll take care of the cats, and so it's good. You can go ahead and leave.
Exactly. So I do have one last thing to talk about, and I completely forgot. That's why I should have set this up on the docket, and I didn't even leave much time for us to talk about it. We got about 9 minutes to talk about it, and I think it's a big one, but and we can expand on it on the next show, whatever. But so Ellen Page is now Elliot Page, and it seems like everyone's freaking out about it. The first thing I said is I was like, I said this to my wife, and I think she was a little bit shocked. I was like, "Oh, that's just another person on the transgender list that I want to bone." And she was like, "Wait, what?" And I was like, "No, no, no, it's not like that. It's just if you look at the porn, I pretty much watch transgender on female. She didn't get that at all. She was like, "Why?" And I'm like, "Well, why would I want to watch a dude on a woman when I can watch like a dude with, or I'm not even gonna get into it, but I could watch a transgender, which means I got boobs to look at every now and then on a woman. Like, how, for me, that's like a life hack that I figured out that like I don't have to just look at a naked dude. Like, granted, she brought up, well, yeah, but they're fake boobs on the transgender. And I'm like, yeah, but they're fake boobs in porn. Like, show me some real boobs in porn.
Hey, there is okay. Some of those all naturals, baby.
But no, it did lead to the conversation of why, and I understand a lot of people are gonna say she's running after some sort of fame or something of that nature. But it was, and that's not even what I mean when I say why. But like, if you're Ellen Page, I think we all knew Ellen Page was a lesbian, right? Like that didn't, or well, we thought she was a lesbian way back then, or she wasn't. You understand what I'm saying? I'm probably getting us in trouble, but um,
Well, I'll tell you, I hadn't thought about it. I did read the story. It was a little bit confusing because I was trying to place the last movie that I saw her in,
she's done
and
more video games than anything.
she's what?
She's done more video games than anything. Like
Well,
she's I think one of the top grossing video game voice actors. Like she's done a lot of big ones. I didn't
I
know
hope
that.
I'm not mixing this up with the wrong girl, because this is what the story was. Like she was a, I thought she was an actor.
She was. She was Juno, if you remember that movie.
No,
Hard
but I
Candy.
recognized her face, and I did think to myself, she kind of has the guyish look in a way.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to get into any of like, because again, I don't know. And look, I understand that gender is not sexuality. I get that. But I guess then it comes down to the question, well then what's gender? Like if I was to ask you like what makes a man, what would you say?
Well, if we're talking Olympic Committee and sports,
No, we're just
um,
talking like social consensus.
well, no, you asked me what makes a man, and I would say sex. Sex organs make a man a man.
Okay. So if a dude loses his junk, like let's say in Iraq, he's not a dude anymore?
Well, if was he lost. Well, there's a certain point in your life where your sex organs play a part in your development. So, does he have to now take a testosterone supplement because he lost his balls? Yes, but his pituitary gland and the rest of his body have already been born into a full man. So he's still a man. That's like a really out of the park. Like, well, if you lost it in an accident,
Well,
but
no, I'm just saying like cuz like I guess my thing is like and I don't know what she's going to do. I think that's
she's
everyone's
not. I doubt she'll do any modification.
that's the question is she going to I into she said that she's, him and they, I guess. Pronouns throw me off. They're really, which is a bad
Yeah.
it's a bad time for pronouns to mess someone, for myself as they do. But it I guess my thing is, like, if she doesn't if she doesn't do the modification, and again, it's not my business if she does or doesn't. Whatever, it's fine. Live your life. I don't care. I guess it's just more for like trying to understand how just telling people makes you feel better about who you understand what I'm saying? Like,
Right. I mean, personally, that I really don't care to know what people's sexuality is. I mean, how many people in the past that we thought were straight and were heartthrobs were ended up just being very gay,
yeah, it's
and people were
crazy.
like, oh, I can't stand him anymore, blah blah blah, Cary Grant or this or that or and you're like, well, they weren't exactly Liberace, but who really cares? I mean, personally, I don't care about other people's sexuality because it ain't going to involve me.
Right,
You
right.
know what I mean?
No, and
But
that's
when
why.
Christian Stewart decides to make statements that, it's like, can one actor play another actor that's of another race? And we're not talking about people going blackface, but like, do we really? Is it that serious? Like, that, and I don't like Shia LaBeouf, but the movie he did recently where he played a an enforcer for his Hispanic. What is it? Is it the Kings? Who was
I've
he
no, I've
playing?
never I've never seen it.
Well, I haven't either, but there was a big rage. But the thing was, that was the original story. It was a white guy who'd grown up in South Central and was a big gang member in the first place. And the
Oh,
gang accepted him because he was a white guy, but the world can't accept him because he plays the white guy in a predominantly Hispanic gang story. And it comes the same way with like gay and transgender roles. It's like, okay, well, maybe they're not gay or maybe they're not transgender, but
yeah. No,
what
I really see what
they
you're
all where they
saying.
need an advisor,
That you,
just talk to people.
it
It doesn't take that much. They're actors.
there
They're
does become
actors.
a very weird gatekeeper situation with some of that. Some of it I get it. Like The Last Mexican with Brad Pitt, The Last Samurai with Tom Cruise. Yeah, okay, fair enough. But no, no, that's one other thing. Like, we have about 2.5 minutes. Interesting you talked about it because in very, very, I would say this has now become super woke news because it's gone past woke. Now we're actually in like um, oddly woke, if you ask me. Um, there was a COVID testing site in California that was shut down because of a movie production, and there was a big uproar about it, and these
Yeah,
people didn't have.
yeah,
But what movie they were shooting was a re they were redoing the, I think it was late '90s, early 2000s movie She's All That. But they decided, this is how progressive they were. They're redoing it with the male character now, and it's He's All That. My whole the I know, right? Like, holy crap! Now men are being put in women's roles. It it's insane. One thing I would say is that's completely ridiculous. Like, if they were remaking Tropic Thunder 2 or something like that, I shouldn't say remaking, if they're making, like, if they were making a really good movie, maybe it's worth a few COVID deaths. But He's All That is not worth COVID
yeah.
deaths.
Like we need another Wayans brothers. Like White Girls 3. Like
Right.
that's any different. Or what was it? White Chicks? Yeah, yeah. That's there's nothing wrong with that either.
Is
California has a real big problem encroaching on public property and citizens' rights when it comes to filming. They act like they have some kind of government mandate to push people around, tell people they can't take pictures of a set from public property,
and
and
again,
and it's like,
I would probably be okay with it if it was for a good movie.
well, the thing is, it's not. They have paid the municipal costs for a certain area to be cordoned off. I'm talking about people on the outside of the area
Oh
doing
yeah,
business as a
yeah.
lower businesses,
No, I know, I
and
know.
they bully people, and that shit needs to stop.
They should actually encourage it. Interesting enough, like Ghostbusters got so big because they did all this like live action shooting. Same with Elf. You know the Will Ferrell movie. A lot of that was
Yeah.
real people in that movie. Like it's like when he was running around New York and stuff like that. And again, same with Ghostbusters. But like they actually got more popular because of that. I'll only say though, he's all that not worth dying of COVID or causing COVID deaths in the same way that I said seeing Smash Mouth in Sturgeons was not worth dying over COVID. People are making a lot of
Yeah,
money off
if
making
you're gonna buy a
mistakes.
streamed movie right now, you need to just get ready for Godzilla versus King Kong, baby.
I'm actually waiting for Dune. Because Dune's coming to HBO Max. And
Oh,
that,
really?
yes,
Oh
yes,
crap!
yeah. No,
I'm gonna have to buy HBO Max.
and it's not just that. I think it's like basically all Warner Brothers movies for next year. I think it's Warner Brothers who's making Dune. Who's ever making Dune? All of their movies that are gonna hit cinema are also gonna hit HBO Max at the same time. That's
Oh
gonna be
man, there's some.
crazy.
Dune is just full of great actors, and it's got Zendaya. She's hotter than hell.
It's gonna be great. Anyway, that's our show, guys. Thank you so much for listening. We will talk to you later. Take care.
Peace out.
Bye.